right, guys, that's another group closed down. Before we talk about the match, I think we're going to bring up the groups so we can just see the status of this one. This is the Heretic Nation, Exodus, Happy Fun Time group. Exodus, Heretic Nation are both sure to go on. Dead Terrorists and Gorgon Empire are eliminated. Next up, we have Darkside, Raven, Brick Squad, and Evoke. Who's going to go on from Group F?
Probably the two teams that already have wins.
Yeah, I kind of think so as well. I think they're the best teams.
Yeah, I'm predicting those two to go on to win today also, and if they do, they're moving on.
All right, so this match, Exodus versus Dead Terrorists. Hila's working.
Yeah.
That's a little suspicious, though.
My reaction to that set of setups was that Exodus knew what they were going to be facing.
Yeah.
That setup was really bizarre.
Certainly the perfect setup.
Yeah, it was the perfect counter. You don't need any locks at all to use all your DPS, and the Rooks don't do anything. So
no logistics, no command ship.
Yeah, it's just looked like a single-purpose setup. So I don't know. That might not be the case, but I would be curious to see how that setup would do against a Slipner setup or a Vindy setup. Probably not very well.
And what we were talking about while the match was going on, I don't like Sentry setups at all. And even though it was a perfect setup for what they were doing, it was still taking a long time for those Sentry drones to kill the ECM team.
But it was two slow damage teams in general. Sentry setup versus the ECM, Rook DPS.
The weird thing about Sentries is that on paper they're actually quite a bit of DPS. I mean, that setup probably does, I don't know, it's probably 500 DPS a ship or something, but applying the Sentry drone damage is really bad. The Rooks can just fly away, they can go out to 100k, and the damage on them will probably not be very good.
Yeah.
You can do drone link augmenters, and you can fiddle with it some to help, but it's applying Sentry drone damage that's difficult.
Yeah.
But it applies at least some under jams, which makes it valuable.
A Sentry drone setup against any other kind of setup than that Rook setup that we saw, I don't think they would have won.
Yeah.
Drakes with no propulsion mods, it would do fine.
There may be another setup. Yeah, I think you kind of went out on a limb there and maybe into the wrong zone too.
Cool. All right, so perfect setup. Of course, metagame could be involved. They could know beforehand. But on the other hand, isn't it just showing up and being oh, got lucky on this one?
It's entirely possible. And I really don't like to jump to conclusions and say, oh, they had a spy or somebody tipped them off or something. But that was a heck of a gamble to bring the setup they had.
Yeah.
But you never know. And they're not the first team to think Gilas are good or the Ishtars are good. Yeah. So it's possible they thought the setup was good against a lot of things in the tournament. But
it might also be all right. it's an undefeated team. They've won 4 matches in a row, and not against bad teams. Well, some of them a little bit bad, but not all of them, certainly.
Yeah. No, Exodus is really good. It's not like this is,
I'm not trying
the only way they've won a match or something.
Sure. Yeah.
But
much better than Goon Swarm.
We could make the Gilas work. Gilas, whatever they are.
You needed more
all right, so, Sreegs.
Yes.
Behind the scenes of the tournament. Mm-hmm. So what is it exactly you do with the boundaries and all that stuff? What's your practical involvement when the games go on?
Just to take a step back, it used to take a rather large team of people to put all this together. Mm-hmm. So I think last year it was me and I don't remember his dev name.
Good story.
Yeah. Me and another guy doing the
is the other guy still
kind of
on the
refereeing.
Team?
No, the other guy's
I wish he
no
was.
longer on the team. He's been replaced by a robot. Due to the tremendous work of Veritas.
Foxy? A couple robots.
We're actually trying to replace as many people with robots as possible.
Really, at the end of the day, I think it should just be me. But we'll see. Yeah, we'll see where it gets. Essentially what happens is we have a tool that walks us through the workflow of what a match is.
Yeah.
From teams getting into fleets and staying docked in station to moving them into the system where we're doing things, to getting them onto the field from whatever beacons they're coming from. To ensuring that we've done a lot this year too, where if you remember from tournaments past, once they were on the field, you had to be careful not to have your cat run into your mouse or whatever. Everyone gets really scared. It was kind of dumb. So what we did is we're doing all that programmatically now. So once you're in space, it's impossible to warp, and then once you get to the bubble, it's impossible to move. And then the tool actually starts the countdown timer once the match is actually on and going. Essentially, my job is just to watch and make sure people don't leave the arena and look for other
Are you just watching the overview then, or do you actually have like a tool?
I have a tool that watches, that alerts me, but there have been situations like you took note of hearing some yelling during a match yesterday. Those were not cries of joy. That was
I think they may have been.
that was a stutter in the tool where we had to go back to the old-fashioned way, where I'm basically monitoring the overview by hand, and somebody else is blowing up ships as we're calling out the ship types.
So you were basically just yelling a command joyously.
Yeah,
to someone else who's thinking.
yeah.
All right. So there was a little bit of happiness in it, I could hear.
Maybe half a smile.
Yeah. You're blowing up more ships this year than usual, I think.
Yeah.
I don't remember other years having 3 and 4 boundary. Like we have 1 in matches usually. This year,
no, that's I don't know that that's really true, because what happens is once the ships start to go out, they do tend to go in packs. And they don't turn around until the guy like notices that, oh God, that guy just got blown up. But by then they're already out. Yeah, it's fairly obvious. And the problem is with the way the tool works, it takes a second for me to register the click. So they don't even have enough time to turn around once it goes through, because by the time they actually see the guy blow up and I got to him, that guy's already way out, and then everyone else just kind of
the other
staggers
effect of that I like, though, is it is possible that someone goes out and then has a little time to turn around and think they got away with it, right?
No, that
and then
doesn't
you
work.
get them then.
No, that used to work. Yeah, that happens. Like we had a guy in the match yesterday when we had to switch like on an instant to doing it by hand. We had a guy didn't get blown up for his boundary violation until he was like 85 kilometers in the arena.
Whoops.
So excited.
Yeah, we got everybody else here. He probably thought he got one over on us. And that's one of the other beauties of the tool, is when it does register, it registers, and you always know who was there. It cuts a nice log. And
yeah. All right, cool. So we have
the logs show something?
Mine do.
All right, so quite a few boundary violations. Certainly some matches have been decided by it. Even more, we're seeing all these archetypes. So let's go through some of them. So the ECM archetype, how does that work?
I mean, we've seen a couple variations, but probably the one that seemed the most successful was the one we saw yesterday, that is really a full commitment to ECM where you lock the other team out for the whole match. I'm pretty hesitant to call ECM an archetype, though, because even though it typically is, it's had really mixed results in this tournament and hasn't been very popular. We've only seen it like 4 times. It's been different each time, and it's only worked like 2 of those times.
Yeah.
So it's kind of shaky as an archetype. But yeah, I think historically the idea is you just completely keep the opponents from doing anything, from locking you ever. Yeah. But that's hard.
And how do you beat this archetype then, or this type of setup?
Sentry drone.
Yeah, that was a pretty good solution. But another, I mean, making sure you account for the possibility of ECM is a really important.
ECCM.
There's 2. Yeah, ECCM is one way, and then stacking your team all on one race is really important. Also, that's why you see, or part of why you see, a full Galant team or a full Minmatar team, so that the racial jammers are harder to use effectively.
And I mean, no one uses multi-specs anymore, I assume.
No.
We saw some in the prelims.
Yeah.
But maybe they know something I don't.
Maybe they do, maybe they don't. We also see the rush teams.
Yeah.
Which is another kind of fairly staple setup we see.
But I think we've seen two types of rush teams this year. We've seen the old standby Minmatar rush teams with the Selectors and Cyclones, but we've seen the new Galente rush teams this year. Lots of blasters, and they've been very successful. Yeah. And that's been my preferred rush team. I like the blaster ones this year, even though we did see, I think we saw one Minmatar team beat a Galente team this morning. I still like the Vindicators more.
Yeah, I mean, the Galant Rush team, the Shadow Cartel team was obviously awesome, but that's been tried a couple other times and hasn't worked out nearly as well. Like with the Amar version, someone did an Amar version. I mean, an armor version.
That wouldn't be a Galente.
Sorry, like armor Taluses, I meant, and that wasn't as good. But yeah, the cool thing about the Minmatar Rush team is it's very solid in terms of DPS, tank speed, all the things you generally want. And I think one of the reasons it's really common and it's really attractive to the good teams is it gives you a lot of room to do things with piloting skill. It's like very flexible, and so you can do things like Mildly Intoxicated did, where they use good FCing and good, individual piloting to make it work against a lot of different things. It's like one of the most dynamic archetypes.
All right. Before we go to the match, we're just going to visit the commentators and hear what they're up to.
CCP Sunset, and I'm back in the commentary booth with Michael Bolton III and Lazarus Torraven. Yes?
That's right. It's long.
I know, I always call you Laz, so it's like, I need to practice this way more. And now I really wanted to talk to you guys about energy warfare.
Energy warfare is pretty fun.
Yeah, let's talk about Nosferatu, newts, all that kind of crazy stuff. I think we have some pretty fancy stuff going on.
Yeah, you see it a lot in the tournament, especially from the Cyclones, Minotaur Rush teams. They have the utility highs they can use if they're outfitting missile launchers to fit newts. And the big thing about newts is it shuts off hardeners, shuts off guns if you're, say, a hybrid or laser turret type of weapon system. So, I mean, they cripple so many different things. I mean, we've seen the Belgorns, we've seen the curses, all with some sort of neutralizing bonus. And in against these Minotaur Rush teams, they need their micro warp drives to be running, which requires a lot of cap. And if depending on how many newts you put on a ship, if you instantly no cap that ship, you lose hardeners, you lose MWD, and you're just dead in the water.
Yeah, they can just completely cripple you. Right?
As seen in that graphic, it's important to note that also at large energy transfers. You'll see ships like Marauders and you'll see ships like the Basilisk or the Guardians will also transfer cap back and forth between each other. And the way that works is that the loop of cap creates more cap than it spends, so you end up having infinite cap. They're magical.
Pretty magic.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the difference between newts and the Nos?
Nos is situated where it will steal cap from the hostile ship that you're stealing it from, only if its cap is below yours. So if you're running low on cap, you put a NOS on a hostile ship, then it will pull some of that cap from their ship to yours until it's below your cap.
Okay, cool. Well, I think we're going to head back to the studio before the next match, so we'll go back to CCP Soundwave.
Thank you very much. All we're missing right now is predictions from the panel. Dark Side versus Brick Squad.
Dark Side.
Oh, that's quick.
Me too.
Dark Side.
I'm going with Sreegs, the man with a 100% record. He has guessed the last 74 games.